Hello again. This is Sandra. We're on part 2 of making Gidget, the foundation paper piece butterfly by Lillyella. Stitches.com. There's a free pattern. There's 3 butterflies that you can make. And I have the pieces sitting on the table there. We're going to take the 2 striped pieces and finish them. And to finish them, we have what I chose for the butterfly's body, which is color 1. Color 2, 3, and 4 are all the background colors that I've chose. And I have this piece and another piece. And we're going to, like all foundation paper piecing, between 1 and 2, we're going to fold on that line. So I will grab my old greeting card, place it on the line, and then fold it over. Then we will take the 1/4 inch ruler. You can have the add a quarter or a regular ruler. Move those up just a little bit. Lay the 1/4 inch on the side of the paper. Trim that piece. Don't need that one. So now we look at this piece. So we need now one that's just a small one that covers just this area. So let's see. I have this little one right here. Let's see if this one will work. So if we place it under here, and you can test it by using a pin. You can pretend like this is a sewing with a pin. You can put it in that line and out any place on that line. Then you can take the material, fold it up like this, and see if it covers everything. Well, it didn't because of that angle. If I had it clear out here, it would work. So I'm going to reposition. I'm going to move it clear over here to that edge. Do the same thing again. I'm just testing the placement with a pin. In on the line and out on the same line. So let's test the fabric again. Hold it up. It covers it 100%. There's the pin that's pretending it's a seam. When you turn it over, it covers this line. You can see it does the 1/4 inch, and it goes out here to this dotted line. I can move it over just a little bit more. So now I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I'm going to start sewing 2 stitches on this side of the line, and I'm going to sew all the way off to this dotted line. I'll be right back. It's just the placements. But the 2 stitches before, make sure you have a good set-in sewing seam. And going off doesn't matter because we're going to be out there trimming that anyway, but it just reinforces. Okay, I'm 2 stitches beyond. Trim that string off because I don't need the strings to be in my way. I will now finger press this to make sure when I press it, I'm going the right way. And it's that one last check to make sure everything lines up. And I got more than enough. So I'm going to press this piece. Make sure it's good and secure. Nice and flat. So it can be worked on with the next one. At this point, you can remove the pin. And if you want, you can take off that excess so it doesn't get lost in the other placement. Pull this out so you can see what I'm doing. why the camera keeps moving, I have no idea. But you line up along that dotted line, and you can trim off your excess so it's not in your way. This piece is too little. The pieces are both too little to reuse, so they just go in the garbage. So your next thing is, as we count, now we need the line between 2 and 3. So we got that little stitch right there. So we just go back here. We release it just a little bit lightly. Sit it back down. I take my greeting card. It's just the right thickness. Place it on that line between 2 and 3. Press that paper over. Take that cardstock out. Line up the ruler on the quarter. Secure it with your fingers. Trim that piece off. Those are way too little, so they are definitely in the trash. So now we have to find our next piece. Our next piece is to cover this number 3. So I have that partial one here. It's more than big enough. But we can see here, we'll line this one up here. And you could do this every single time. You can put the pin in it and pretend like you're stitching, just to see if the fabric's enough. I was holding it with my fingers the first time, so it's like I hold this up. It's not quite enough. It's a little tiny bit off here. That's in the seam line, so we could leave it there, but we have plenty down here. We're way beyond our quarter, so I'm going to move it just a little bit more towards this outside edge. And then I'm going to sew it. See, there's plenty to move it right there. I have where I can move it. Line it all back up. Flip your paper back up. And now I'm going to go sew that line between 2 and 3. I'm going to start 2 before, end off the end. Be right back. Sewing off the end, like I told you I was. Take it up here, cut the string off, bring it back down. Now this is where I open it, finger press it, double check your paper all again. It's all the pattern, all of number 3 is on the fabric. So now I'll press that seam. And now I'll come back and set up for the last line, which is between 3 and 4, and it's the big long line. It's almost done with that part of that wing. It's a 2-part wing on this one, which is fine. We will manage, but now we'll take it out here. Our line between 3 and 4 is this big long one. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to release the stitches at this end. Just lightly release them. Place the card out on that line. Press the paper up over the card. Remove the card. Put the quarter-inch stitch over there, length on there, and now we will trim off all of that. Now that one, we need a longer piece, and it's about 4 inches. This is about 4 inches. So let's see if this one will work. Right side's down. And we'll see if it fits there. You can see that it all fits in there from just on this end. So now we're going to pick the piece up right side to right side, because this is all the right side of this here. I'm going to fold the paper down. You're going to line up that big piece in the back. It goes way beyond that end, and it's way beyond this end also, just by looking at it. So that should be fine. So you can either raise the paper up, you can put a pin in it. I just hold it firmly in my fingers, transport it over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to start out there 2-3 stitches, and I'm going to sew all the way off through the dotted line. Be right back. Sewing that again, I'll repeat, sewing 2 stitches beyond the point, at least, at 1.5 stitch length. If you have 1.8, that will work. Sewing all the way down that line, and I'm going to go out to the dotted line and remove it from the sewing machine, open it up, finger press it, and then check it. All of the fabric is behind here, here, and even extra down here. So that is more than enough. So I will press it with the iron, and we'll come back and we'll trim this one, and then we'll go on to the other one. We will join A1 to AC, A2. That way you get that step also. And then out here, I just take the ruler, the rotary cutter, right across, take the point off. Up here, because it's a longer cut. If they're little shortcuts, I just take the rotary cutter across and nip them off. If they're longer cuts, I use the ruler. Another one here. Lined up with the dots. Might be a little bit off, but it's like, if you got excess, it is fine. Now that piece is now A1. This is A2. So when you have them in your hand like this, this point is going to connect in that point. And that's the important point. This piece will line up almost to that line. So if you want, you can put a pin in 2. If you want them to line up exactly, you take your pin in number 2 there at the line, and then you put it in the pin point right there in 2. And the pin stays in, and they just line up that way. So you line up your edges here, and you can see here the material's a little longer, which is fine. You just line up that edge, and you sew from clear up here, because that's your about a 1/4 inch in, and you're going to sew all the way down the line. I'll get it started, and then I'll move the camera over there. Because it's hard to hold the camera and sew at the same time. I figure I'll just get it set up first. And there's it's set up, and then we sew. Just go carefully down towards the pin. Remove the pin. And then continue sewing. And I'm going to sew clear off the end lift up the presser foot, remove it, trim off the excess. Now I will open it and show you the wing. There's the top wing. And again, because of the paper here, you press one way and then you press the other. Remove the paper. On both sides, remove the paper. You don't need the paper anymore. And if you want, we can go sew this onto B, because it's the body that goes against this butterfly. So I'm going to hold it back open so you can see it. And now I'm going to go over and press it, and then we'll come back and we'll join it to B. And I have an excess string, so I'm going to trim that string just because it keeps getting caught. I'm not worried about trimming this end yet, because it's like, we'll trim the whole block when we're done to 5 inches. So now, this is B. This goes here. This goes here. So now we're going to go back like we did in the E. We're going to put a pin in this point, right here, a pin in this point, and then we're going to find the point in this A. It's actually an A2 is the point we want. Put our finger up there to kind of guide us. There's where A2 is. My seam, I want it to stay on this side when I sew. And then we tilt this up here. See how it fits here? You can put the pin in if you want, but it's like it all fits. So I'm just going to sew this line right here now. I'll get it started and I'll bring you back up there again. Get it all positioned, because I gotta hold the camera with my right hand and sew with my left. Now I started out off the pattern, and I'm going to sew clear down and off. And the pin keeps it aligned in the points right here. The pin keeps it aligned. Needle down, turn that pin so it doesn't get in the way. Sew some more. And you can see I'm a little bit off the line. It isn't going to make any difference in how the butterfly turns out, as long as you're close to the line. Press her foot up, cut the threads, place the camera back over here so I can use both hands for opening it, and it lines up beautifully. So I'm going to press that paper both ways, remove the paper, it's like whenever you're doing something on a live, there's always something that hangs up. And grabbing these little pieces of paper, it's just patience. One side's done. The other side. is just about done. There's a little string here to trim. Bring it back out here. Show you how it opens. There's that part of the butterfly. And again, on B, we are going to press it, that one that way. And when we sew this seam, it's going to press this way. But this is to be the actual position. This one to the right, this one will be pressed to the left. So we can take any of these papers over here out. It will make it on this top piece. It just makes the pressing and handling all together better. It takes out some of the stiffness. Because once you start playing with foundation paper piecing, you will notice that the paper makes the pattern, the whole thing, stiffer. I can't take any of these off yet because I need this line right here for sewing. And these here, if you wiggle the fabric, you can get it to pop. Because the paper doesn't have a straight grain or give, and the fabric does. So it just makes it so much easier. Now here's one that's harder to get to because it's under the seam. But just keep wiggling. That paper will come out more than enough that you need. See, I got the whole point. So I'm going to press this back like this. And then we're going to go do complete C1. Press this real fast. Set it back out in front of us. You can give it a spritz of water to help hold it out there. It's not going to harm the paper any. I use dry iron. The only time I use a little spritz of water is when I want it to go flatter, is the best way to put it. It goes way flatter. So this piece will now sit here and wait for this piece to join it. So now we'll flip this over, and again, between line block 1 and 2, the line right there, we will fold it. You'll put your card on the line, fold it, trim the 1/4 inch. Now I need a piece that's just that size. And this one here might work. We'll see what it does. We'll do that pin sew. I call it pin sew. Put the pin in the line of 2. Out on the line, that line still. Fold the fabric up. This one did not cover. We need it to cover this. So let's see if we move it clear down here, if it's big enough. It might not be big enough. So we're going to put that down. We're going to take that clear over to the farthest point we can. Put the pin sew back in. Pull the fabric back up. Nope, it's not going to work. Not at that angle. So we need a different angle. You can keep working at it. It's like, I forget what angle we need. So it's like, is this the angle? Let's see. Go from there. Nope. Have the piece upside down. So is it from there to there? We had it this way. So is it, do we need it this way? Let's see. I'm going to just finger hold it there. Nope, that was the wrong way. So the angle needs to go this way. So we're going to raise this side up. I'm going to hold it with my fingers back there rather than the pin sew. It's not going to work. So So we're not going to fiddle with that one anymore. We're going to take this big piece. We're not going to take any chances. We're going to make sure we got a big enough one. I'm going to sew on this line right here. I'll be right back. 2 stitches beyond, 2 stitches each side of the line. Sew down the line, 1, 2 stitches, remove, cut off the strings, come back, flip it over, finger press it, covers all of it. So now we will press it with the iron, and then we will trim along this line. And I'll tell you why we're going to trim on that line. Because it saves the most fabric. If we get that pin out of my way so I don't cut it with the ruler. On this one here, we can cut here because it's not saving us a whole lot of fabric, or we can cut here and it might give us the length we need on the next cut. I'm going to choose to cut on the dotted line this way, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think it's just the waist. And then we're going to go over here and cut on this side of 2 because we can trim that piece off. You see the dotted line. I didn't do it 100% trimming because it's like we don't need it yet. So now we need to go between line number 2 and 3. We need this line. So we need to release that paper. Sit the card on top on the fold line. Press it. Move him up just a little bit because I don't want to trim him off wrong. Because he's ready to wait. That wing's ready to go on. Put your ruler along the paper. Do your 1/4 inch trim. You're leaving a 1/4 inch. Take up some of my garbage here. Now, we can see if that one will work. This one here, it covers it, so it should be fine. Covers it 100% here. That's the right side. We'll fold this down. We can see right here is our line. So we need to be 1/4 inch over that line, and you can see right there we're quite a ways over there. So we can do the finger press hold. I'm going to hold it with my fingers back here, and it covers all of that. You can see it covers it all. So I'm going to open it back up, and I'm going to sew down this line. I'll be right back. I think I've showed you enough sewing until I join these pieces together. I will just sew off camera with this one here and another piece, and then I'll show you on the joining. I'll take you up with the camera. Trim the strings. Bring it back. Open it up. Finger press it. Go over to the iron and press. Press, press, press is the quilters, should be the quilter song. Now we're going to take this back, flip it over. We're going to go between number 3 and 4 is that big long line. Make sure all your fabric is open. Lay the card on there or at a 1/4 edge. Here it comes with that little edge that needs popped. It will pop if it's just a stitch or two. That thread pops really quick and easy. It isn't going to hurt anything. We'll lay our 1/4 inch along the paper. And then we will trim those pieces off. Now we need, again, this is that big long piece that is over 3 inches. I don't have any pieces left of that, any scraps. I should say, I do. But that definitely isn't big enough. It doesn't even measure, but 2.5. So I'm going to start with a brand new piece. I cut all my strips before I start these things in like 4-inch strips. Place this up here at the end. Raise the paper. I am more than enough there, more than enough there. So I'm going to sew that line. This video is going to be a little bit longer because we're joining more and more pieces. But each butterfly will take you about 1.5 hours to make. It's not bad. It's something you can do. Finger press, double check. It's all covered. It's all covered. So I will press with the iron, come back and trim. The board's getting dirty with paper. So on this one here, I can cut straight up here because I'm not going to lose that much. So put the 1/4 inch ruler on the, put your ruler on the dotted line and trim. Turn it because this is the last piece we need. So we don't need any of this anymore. This piece can sit to the side. Now we're just going to make sure to do all our trimming because we are going to join C1 to C2. This one here, I'm not going to use the ruler because I'd rather have a little extra point just in case. So C1 joins to C2, just like this. So I'm going to line up this point here to this point here using the pin. The pin goes in this point and it joins by coming out this point. They line up, swivel. There's a little excess there because I didn't trim off all there. And I'll go down here, put a pin in this point, go over here, hold it, and bring the pin out in that point. And the papers just slide right to each other. If that bothers you, just take your scissors and trim it off. I guess it doesn't hurt to have a little extra. You can trim. So now I'm going to sew from here to there. I'll get it started. Oh, I better flip this pin around. One of them's in backwards. Made sure it's in the point on both sides. I'm going to start off here sewing, and I'll bring the camera up when I sew that straight stretch. Of course, the needle come unthreaded because it popped back. When you're on camera, everything that can go wrong does go wrong. It's like, at least I can see to thread my needle still. Okay, pick up the camera now, find the position, and sew. because my needle is still in position. Twist the pin around. Needle down. Pull out the pin. I stick it in my cloth that my sewing machine's sitting on. So off the end. Go up and press. Or cut, I should say. Now we open this. It all lines up. Looks like this one in reverse. Right there. So now we take that paper both ways, press it, take off the excess paper. Just makes everything easier to sew together. And in a little bit we will have a butterfly. I'm hoping it's not too long. But the first half was one, and this is the second half. It had 2 more things in it. So I'm gonna figure out which way did I press this one. I did up, so I'm gonna press this one up. But I'm gonna take the time to press it real fast. To hope that it stays up that direction when I sew. We could always hope. So now we take here. We're going to go down to B. We're going to do that needle, the point connect. Put the pin in the point of the body. And you make sure this is positioned right. You turn it over. It's going to go into the point right here. Trying to do this up over the camera is something. And it goes, that just slides right there. You line up your pieces, make sure they're all in the right position. You can either check your points, but everything looks fine. Because it's background, it's not going to get off. Now I'm going to sew from up here down, and then I'll remove the papers and we'll go to the next step. Position, holding very tight. Get it started. Hold the camera up here again. The pieces are all nice and firm. They held. Stitch down. I always try to do alongside the line, just barely. Comes off. And the string. Open up. Press both ways with the paper. It just helps for when you remove it. Remove that paper. Removes easier if you don't have the other fabric in there. Remove that paper. There's one more pinpoint thing. It's like right here. I want this paper off this point. Now remove. Is all the paper removed? Looks like it is. I'm going to press this open. It's kind of bulky right here with all the papers and the seams. But it's like, it's not, I also have a long arm. It's not enough to detour the needle when I would long arm over it or free motion. It might be a little different, but I think it will go perfectly under your presser foots. I'm going to give it a spritz of water. It just makes it a little more pliable, or lets everything settle down further. So I'm going to, now this piece is the top wings. So again, we're going to do the pin. The pin is going to go in this point because we want their bodies to kind of line up. So you put the pin in the point, and then you grab the bottom of the butterfly, and you're going to do the same thing. You want the pin to come out the point because you want these to line up. So it's like, put my thumb right there. The pin come up very, very, very close to it. Just finagle the pieces. Line these up. And this one is going to stand taller because I didn't trim it off. That doesn't bother me. I can trim it up later. So now I will start sewing off here, down to here, and I want to stay just to the right on that X. And then I'm going to sew down off of here. So I'll get it set up, and then I will bring the camera back over. It might be a little harder to hold it and position everything, but I will bring the camera over in just a second. Sorry for my finger that keeps going in my lens. Now here, I want to sew at that X. See that X right there? That on the outside edge, the top side of that X is where I want my stitch to go. So let's see if I can do this and hold the camera at the same time. Needle down, pin down. Oops, sorry. Just take your time, because now I'm close enough. I feel I'm safe to take the pin out. Go to the top of that X is my aiming. There, aiming for the top of the X. Always stop with needle down in the top of that X. Reposition your papers, because I'm lining up this end, because I have that extra 1/4 inch up there, you know, that little bit. Off I go. Raise it, cut the thread, put you back on the stand. Now we will open it up and see how the body lined up really good. If you can see all that. Now we will press it, pull all the papers off, and the butterfly is complete. I hope this helps you. Thank you for watching. Bye.